for those people, go back to that why.
Yeah.
You know, you got into real estate for a reason. You saw the bigger end goal in mind, and just think back to, why am I doing this? And if I continue forward and do what I need to do, where can it take me?
Yep.
And hold on for the
Yes,
ride.
sir. You're now tuned in to the Views of Voices podcast. I'm your host, Dewan Thompson, and we have a special guest, my brother, the real estate guru, Michael Spivey.
How you
Welcome to the
doing?
show.
Thank you. Appreciate you, DJ, my brother. Thank you.
For somebody that's trying to get into real estate, what is the necessary steps that they have to take in order to, be a real estate agent?
Okay. So as far as a new individual getting started off with real estate, first thing you're going to need to do are take your courses. There's going to be 3 courses. It's real estate principles, real estate practices, and then there's a list of a few other options that you'll have to choose from. But that'll be the first step. Once you complete your coursework, then you'll be able to apply for your state exam. There are a few minor things in between, like your fingerprint and some of those details, but ultimately, complete your classes, take your state exam. There's a crash course or something, for example, you could take in between that, but those will be the 2 main steps before, your license.
Okay. And so you were saying you have to take those 3 courses, right? How easy or how hard is it to actually complete those classes?
I would say the classes are, relatively easy, straightforward. It's more so just the tedious aspect of going through and doing all of the work. Within that, though, you do need to retain the information. So when I say it's easy, that doesn't mean just blow through it, because it's going to catch up to you when you have to do the state exam.
Yeah.
But as far as for someone out there that's interested, it's definitely realistic, and it's something that you can do.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. So I know you did discuss that after completing those courses, you have to take the state exam. And so for a lot of people, right, they take the state exam and the first time they fail, right? And so what are some things that you would tell them to not fail that test?
So I'm going to start off by saying, for anybody out there, don't give up, because I took it, I believe it was 7 times, and
Yeah.
I can sign back in. I'm not proud to say that, but it's part of my story, so it is what it is.
Exactly.
Put that out there for whoever needs to hear it. But as far as what you need to work on going through that, or if you are going through that point, ultimately within real estate, it's a lifestyle shift, I like to say. So sometimes we're not good test takers, but you will need to take that mindset shift as far as belief goes, to believe you can pass it. And yes, vocabulary and, understanding the terms and, doing those things. But I do believe a portion of it does come down to the mental aspect of things, on truly believing. And that could be personal development, some things you do on the side along with studying for the test. But when you're on that point, trust me, it gets hard. It's lonely. Yeah. It's tough, because you've told people you're taking your test, and, you got them looking out, waiting for you to say I passed it. So there's a lot of outside factors that goes into that moment, along with just, I didn't pass the test. But just keep studying, keep your head up, talk to people if you can. It's also a great resource to, get through that. But I know that was kind of a long-winded answer, but all of that put together, that really is kind of what it takes. It's not just a straightforward answer.
And so what are some of the things that actually motivated you? Because like you said, you failed 7 times. And so what kept you going? Because that's extremely hard to experience that type of failure. But, what kept you going, and what ultimately got you to pass that test?
It's going to be the first time I'm ever saying this out loud, but probably my biggest one was my little brother, to be honest. I'm very big on family, and as far as, parents go, yes, their responsibility, take care of us. But I also feel like, as an older brother, as far as being just a good example and leader, this was something I had to get past. I couldn't quit. So for me, I had mom, dad, some other people around me as far as helpful, just staying on me and kind of giving those motivating words. But as far as that deep personal, what is my why, kind of personal, reasoning. My little brother's probably gonna laugh when he sees this, but he was he was a big personal one that helped me get through, just because I feel like I kind of had to do it for him, so he knows he can't quit at something.
See, that's amazing to hear that, because sometimes your little brother or even your nephew or something like that, it really takes them to really motivate you to succeed, because they're looking at you. What are the
Yeah.
steps to take to actually succeed in life? So my next question is, right, we're going to talk about real estate in California, but specifically we're going to talk about your region, which is Northern California, and with the market being so competitive and so high right now with inflation, how hard is it to get clientele, whether that is a buyer or a seller? How hard is it to get one of those clientels?
For every individual, this answer will vary.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I do believe that, if you're doing the right steps, the clientele will be out there. Right now, as far as buyers goes, overall within the market, just looking at inventory, there's less inventory as far as listings or sellers that are on the market
Mm-hmm.
compared to looking at buyers within the market right now. So, you know, buyers definitely, it's easier if you had to put into that comparison versus the sellers. But ultimately within the market, real estate is moving, people are buying, people are selling, the opportunities are out there, and there's plenty of business that can be had for everyone. So there is no shortage as far as business goes. um, the level of service or how you can market yourself, that might vary how much business
Mm-hmm.
is coming to each individual. But as far as overall opportunities, yeah, they're out there.
And so with 2020 and like the COVID situation, um, how was the market during that time? I know it was kind of skyrocketing. People were overbidding and stuff like that. Can you describe a little bit how that was, as for your sake, being a real estate agent? How was that?
Yeah. So personally for me, it was very interesting. That is earlier on as far as my career goes and kind of what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a shift on the real estate side of things. I would say technology. That was a big component that we had to incorporate more or kind of be a part of, just because you're not going into the office, you're not maneuvering, around people. So as far as being a realtor, that was something that was a big shift. Now, physically looking at the market, just for anybody kind of familiar with the space up here, I'll give an example on Western Lathrop. So Western Lathrop has three communities: River Island, Mossdale Landing, Stanford Crossing. Of those, I'm going to focus on River Island just for this specific scenario. Within River Island, master plan community, it's going to be built out over the next 20 years, 15,001 residences. So just to give you an idea on the traffic within that space, it's just very strong area. People they want to live here. Now, over that transitional period, there were times where new development specifically, people will wait outside in lines like it was a shoe pickup for some
That's
Jordans
crazy.
or
Mm-hmm.
the next release for any of those kind of brands. Like people were literally waiting out line like that, and
Mm-hmm.
they actually had to change the rules because you can't do that to people. It's not the safest or the best option.
Yeah.
So just seeing pieces where people wait in line, or you might get a VIP list or interest list to join a community shut off completely because they have so many people on the list. There aren't even enough homes to build for the current list available. So they'll push their list out some months. So you'll see like just different moments like that, or individuals paying well over offer prices, and specifically on homes. Like you can imagine that with the best home on the block,
Mm-hmm.
but when one of the worst homes on the block is still getting competitive,
Yeah.
multiple offers, so just throughout this phase or this era, whatever you want to call it, there have definitely been some things that have stood out for me, and those are just a few of the ones that kind of pop up off the top of my head.
Okay. And so for example, let's say a house was listed for like $350,000.
Hmm.
Now today, how much is that house actually selling for at the end of the day, at the end of closing?
And so you're saying, kind of repeat that again, but backtrack kind of the timeline
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
So for example, a house is 350,000. It just got listed for that price, and
Yeah. And you're saying like as of right now, it just got
yeah,
listed?
as of right now,
Okay.
it just got listed for 350,000. Um, and at the closing, like closing the deal, how much has that price increased from 350,000?
Yeah. So I would say for that question, it's really going to be based on location. So I'll kind of bounce around and give a couple different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the list price, first and foremost, people need to be clear: is that list price transparent?
Yeah.
For example, if you're in Oakland, they don't do transparent listings. So what you see, it's expected to go well over that amount. Say you're coming to the valley, it's a little bit more transparent as far as pricing goes. That number is going to be a little bit, true to whatever that physical sales price is. It will, maybe go a little bit over, but it's just not as, non-transparent. Now, as far as getting into the details, you'll see from 5, 10,000, depending on how much work needs to be done on the home,
Okay.
ranging up to 50, 100, 200,000, depending on locations. So, yeah, it's literally going to go by property as far as, what that looks like, because there are going to be dynamics within the home that will entail what that final number, but it will range from, five, like I said, all the way up 200 plus $1,000 over in some areas and some price points. So,
Wow.
specifically for anyone out there, if that is something that's pertaining to you, whether you're speaking to myself or your realtor that you're working with, that is something that you can look deeper into to find out, looking at past sales and, kind of get an answer like that.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. And so say somebody wants to go ahead and buy a house now, and it's a very competitive market, like we just discussed.
Yeah.
What are some things we can do to beat that next person that's actually overbidding?
Yeah. So as far as price point can be a conversation that will help out if you're looking right at your max and you're in a competitive market. You can't compete with the type of offers that are going out there.
Yeah.
Also taking into account, am I a VA offer, am I a FHA offer, conventional, cash? Those components will take into account, because if I'm a seller, from the listing side of things, if you had to put in order cash, conventional, FHA, VA, as far as
Cash.
an order, as far as the order, people are looking at offers. And I will, little disclaimer, that is not 100% exact. Just because you have an FHA or something does not mean you're out of the fight. But I just want to just give like a general idea so you kind of know what I'm working with as I'm explaining this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so fund our lending, how is that funding going to work? But now with the market, there are also, on the lending side, lenders are trying to become more competitive. So there are different programs, from down payment assistance and just other programs that are available to buyers that will allow them to be already underwritten as they're going into the purchasing process, and some other details. So doing those things, as far as being underwritten when you're coming to the offer table, it makes you more competitive, especially FHA offers. And yeah, those are just a few different things that anybody can do. It will really dictate kind of what your specific scenario. So it's hard to give a general one, but to kind of sum it up, definitely based on your price point, just keep in mind, if you are looking at a cheaper price point, you have more range to compete. Also, days on the market. If you're looking at homes that have been sitting on the market for a little bit longer, then typically they might be a little bit more flexible as far as offers go, or just it won't be as competitive because it's been sitting there for a while. And then focus on your the funding, based on the type of funding that you're using, the type of programs that you're using, that can benefit you as far as moving forward, because it'll give you the best chance to give you you're at your strongest, as you're progressing forward.
Okay. And so I kind of want to get into the FHA and conventional loans, because we kind of touched on it just a little bit. Can you explain the slight difference between the two?
I think that one is probably better as far as like the lender side to really go into that, as far as like those details. But ultimately, financing, how much money are you putting down?
Yeah.
FHA loan, you're looking at as low as 3.5% down, for something like that. FHA, as far as like different down payment assistance program. And yeah, so I would say for the first time buyer, as far as just that starting point, FHA or I shouldn't even say that, first time buyer, but when you are purchasing that home and you are able to leverage FHA, you're able to put less money down to purchase a home, versus the conventional, you might have to put more money down on the front end, as far as when you're starting off.
Okay.
So that's probably just the quickest one for people to just to walk away with something, just as far as that down payment goes.
Okay, okay. And so as a real estate agent, does it benefit you to actually work with a buyer or a seller more?
They both go hand in hand from the actual close of a transaction. If you want to look at opportunities, and this is solely tailored to my realtors or realtors interested out there, has nothing to do with buyers or sellers. But as far as the buy side goes, once you close the transaction, then they purchase their home, and unless they're selling another property, then that's it for the transaction. Say if you're selling the home, you could potentially double end it and work with the buyer along with work with the seller, along with, if they're selling, they're moving somewhere else. So then you might be able to help them purchase at their next location, depending on where they're going, or maybe you send a referral out. So as far as just opportunities with maximizing your commission, this is just solely based on the buy sell side. There's a little bit more as far as when you start talking about how you can leverage investors and all that, but to stay kind of on
On the
topic
basics.
and keep everybody, yeah, we'll just say sell side, you can make a little bit more if all those situations were to happen.
Okay.
Definitely does not happen every time.
Of course not. Of course. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So let's get into real estate in the Black community, right? And so how important is it for us as African Americans to actually go out there and own our own property?
I think it's very important. I can't, speak about it enough. Just thinking about generational wealth and the opportunities that, a home provides, that is something that you can build upon and, really grow within your family. And something I always think about is, say that scenario, you own the home and you need somewhere to go, whether it's you, mom, dad, aunt, cousin, whoever it is. You have an opportunity to always have a place to kind of lay your head that will, forever be yours. Then looking at the, rental versus ownership side, just looking at how much money is paid out just yearly, it's not even fair, because at the end of the day, you're paying a mortgage.
Yeah.
It might not be your mortgage,
Somebody
but you're
else.
paying a mortgage. So
Exactly.
just knowing that you're investing into someone else's family when you could be investing into yours, as a community as a whole, it means everything. When I think about a home, I think about family, and just how that's a place for everybody to come together, stay together, and stay strong. And I think it's very important for our community to just really kind of buy into it and continue to educate each other and have those conversations, because owning a home and being able to do that for your family, it adds a level of significance and just puts you in a different bracket as you're continuing forward.
Definitely generational wealth. And so for a lot of people that say, maybe I don't want a home because I don't want to have to deal with all the utilities and stuff like that, or the repairs, or just painting a house because of HOA. And so what are some things you would tell those people that just want to rent and don't want to have to deal with all the hassles of owning a home?
Everything's not for everybody. My goal isn't necessarily to force anyone to do anything that they wouldn't want to do. But as far as showing the ultimate benefits, my question would be what is your why? What is your end goal? What is, the purpose of buying that home? So yes, there is a level of responsibility that is increased. When you do own a home, you have to, be responsible for taking care of those tasks, versus if you don't own it, you're not managing those duties. But on the flip side, yes, you don't have to do that, but you also don't get to leverage the benefits of owning the home. And looking at the big picture, the benefits that you will have from owning the home and what that can do for you long term, versus the worries of I need to paint or I need to update this, I think outweigh themselves. And just looking at the bigger picture and the bigger goal, without question, you can look past, or at least not, I shouldn't say look past, but you can at least get past and manage those duties that might be a hassle for you.
Exactly. I definitely think owning property is a lot better than renting, right? Because like you said, we are paying mortgages, whether it's ours or it's somebody else's. We're paying a mortgage. So why not pay your own mortgage and then eventually have that house in your own name? Which in fact you can, as well as, which I want to talk to you about. You can sometimes pull out some of the equity and then maybe purchase another home or improve your home. So since I got into that, do you think that is a good idea to pull some of that equity out of your own home to possibly buy another property or to build up your own property? Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah. So everybody, for you guys listening out there, each case is different. Your story is going to be for your scenario, but if that makes sense, then yes, I do believe it is a good move to leverage the equity that was built in a property to purchase another property. And yes, I do think that is a good move to do. Now, just to be very clear, because I don't want to give out, kind of bad advice.
Yeah.
Please just sit down, have the conversation, make a game plan with whoever your realtor is, because that game plan will ultimately kind of dictate or help you with what makes the most sense for you long term. If everybody, they might have money where they can just purchase the next property. I don't know what the scenario is, but
Yeah.
just at least sit down before you make any final decisions, kind of understand what the game plan is. Game plan fits, you have the money there, yes, great idea. Make that move and leverage that to get your next property.
Okay. How is it being? I know it's a little different nowadays, but how is it being a African American, real estate agent?
There's definitely pros and cons. There are some things that you see and notice within the community, but ultimately I feel like it's kind of a gift that we get to serve and better the African American community as a whole. And real estate is one of the greatest ways to create wealth, and we get to help people do that.
Okay. And so, do you think that if we as a community was taught more about real estate, that we would be better off than what we are now?
Yes, I believe there are people out there. There are people out there working very hard as far as pushing education into the community. So I'm going to say this is a two-part answer. Mm-hmm. Yes, we need to continue to give and, serve the community by giving education. And that's just everyone in the world as a whole that is, for that cause. Yeah. But to a certain degree as well, it's going to take some, self-education or some of that personal drive to want more. But within that, we need to have the education there. We need to have conversations within our community, whether that's the households, our friend groups, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And kind of all of that together will, make things happen.
Okay. And so I kind of want you to finish this statement off for me. Generational wealth would be higher in the Black community if.
Generational wealth would be much higher if the just communication, education, and action within our community was all in alignment. I believe that currently it's separation. The unity is not there collectively to move as a whole, in the manner that would give a group the kind of force that we can. And as far as just looking at generational wealth, we got to understand the details of life, business and just reproducing, whether that's the agricultural side. There's a full circle conversation that kind of ties into all of this. But if we're not communicating with each other, we're not networking with each other, we're not educating each other, what to do and how to do it, then I don't think without those steps and uniting that, I shouldn't say generational wealth is impossible, but I believe all those pieces together will definitely help as far as the cause and trying to progress forward and really maximize what is generational wealth.
Okay. Do you think African Americans as a community have been hindered into actually getting that generational wealth when it comes to owning your own property? So, for example, kind of like in the 1960s, 1970s, and especially after World War II, how we were kind of stopped and prevented from actually owning a home because FHA has didn't lend to us and stuff like that, do you think that we have been hindered from generational wealth today because of our past time?
Yes, I do agree that there is that, level of hindering that, control the controllables. That is something that is just out of your control. That is what's happening within your environment. When you look at lending and just the appraisal side of things and how all of that ties into, the compound effect of home ownership and generational wealth, yes, that does play a big part in, affecting the African American, Black community, however you want to, say that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. For you know people that have just got into this space of real estate, being a real estate agent, what is some advice that you would give to them? So, do you think that it's better for them to actually go off on their own and try to sell a house by themselves, or be a part of a group?
I would say be a part of a group or team or network, whether that's a mentorship, however that may be. I know in some areas there might not be team options that are available to you where, that makes sense or it's even possible. But for those individuals that a team or a group is possible, hands down, I think that that is a major step and it will help you excel because there are so many pieces as far as what it takes to truly, be successful in this business and long-term success, not just quick success that's over in the next 5 years. And
Yeah.
being part of a team, you can leverage the 20 people that have been in the business 20 plus years, their wisdom, their skills, how they manage their day, what are they, doing day to day, and you start to kind of figure out it's not what you say, it's how you say it. It's not what you
Yep.
do, it's how you do it, and you can pick up on those things because there's gonna be a mindset shift for you. There's you as a quote unquote regular person, and then there's gonna be that shift to where you're a realtor, and you're gonna have to shift your
Yeah.
thinking. You can't think you're like everyday person as being a realtor, and I would say being a successful one that is functioning at a high level. There's a certain shift there, and there's just certain similarities that they have. I want to say they all do the same thing, but um, ultimately being a part of a group, a strong group that has a strong network in front of the tech tools and just kind of what's going on within the market that will benefit you in the long run. And, I can't say it enough times to anyone that's listening.
Yeah. For those people that have been discouraged, what is some advice you would give them? Because, like you said, it's a long game.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So definitely stay encouraged. This is not a guaranteed business. There's nothing that says because individual A walked in and sold 10 houses in their first year that individual B is going to do the same. And that has nothing to say with individual A that sold 10 their first year is not going to, is going to continuously do it. And you going into year two, you can't have your moment. But you got to look at what you're doing on your day to day. What does your schedule look like? Are you doing the right activities, income producing activities
Yeah.
that are going to lead you to what you're trying to, get to, which is a closed transaction. So what can you do differently or how can you kind of change what's going on? I shouldn't even say necessarily say within yourself, but how maybe you're marketing yourself. Maybe you're speaking to the, I shouldn't say the wrong audience, but are you being your authentic self as you're behind the camera so you're attracting the right people to you? Are you providing the right level of education, giving them that high level conversation, speaking intelligently where they understand, what, I want to work with him or I want to work with her and just focusing on those things. So just kind of look at what can I change within what I'm doing in an every day to day shift. And sometimes it might be just a shift in environment. Maybe you're just in the wrong environment that is, won't put you in the best position. And a different environment might motivate you differently, might give you a little nugget that you need, and that'll help you. But ultimately, it doesn't matter, where you're at, what you're doing. Just focus on what you can focus on, and just make sure you're doing the right income producing activities to, create a living.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. And so, how long? This is my last question right here.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did it take for you to get your first deal?
Sheesh, the first one, it took probably like I think it was about 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took some time because
Mm-hmm.
when I first got licensed, and I mean, everybody's story is different. It's going to depend on the environment you're in when you're starting off,
Yeah.
and kind of what your goal is mentally within. Like, are you ready to really go for game time? But yeah, starting off, if you kind of got your toe in and the commitment level is not fully there, and you don't have the network that's just ready to buy or sell right now, then it might be a little bit of a rough road. It's going to take you a little bit, but yeah, that just for me, it's a few months. I personally could have done things differently that would have given me a better chance at success, to get some transactions sooner. But yeah, I just got my license, figuring things out, and that's kind of how it worked out.
Okay. So for the people that's listening, right? If you don't get a deal in 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, even a year, still continue to build yourself up, because eventually you will get to that that pay dirt. So
Just to add for those people, go back to that why.
yeah,
You got into real estate for a reason. You saw the bigger end goal in mind, and just think back to why am I doing this, and if I continue forward and do what I need to do, where can it take me?
Yep.
And hold on for the ride.
Yes, sir. There we go. And that's it, man. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Views of Voices podcast. I'm your host, DeJuan Thompson. Here we go. Thank you.
Peace out.